Newcastle United are out of the FA Cup, and now with just 10 games left this season, can Eddie Howe get us European football for next season? And with the summer window just around the corner, should we spend whatever the hell we want and just deal with the consequences? After Nottingham Forest saw a 4-point reduction, some fans are saying that 1, 2, 3, 4 players would be worth a 4-point reduction. And if you live in Australia and you're a Newcastle fan, you're in luck, because Newcastle are heading to Australia at the end of this season. We have our newest sponsorship, commercial deal, selling Newcastle United NFTs. We'll talk a little bit about that one in this video, and following the continuous reports that Newcastle will be moving to a new stadium, a new report has suggested that we will be staying very much where we are, at least in the short to medium term. Yes guys, how's it going, and welcome back to what would normally be Toon Tuesdays. I am a day late. The weekly roundup of Newcastle United news. It has been pretty chaotic. The background's a little bit different. I was sat over there, I had to move because it was boxes and all sorts. I've moved house. So yeah, sorry for the little bit less content of late. In fairness, it would have just been me crying after most of the recent matches because we haven't been great recently. But it's good to be back. I found my camera just about this morning, microphone in the bottom of a bag. Hopefully we can, as I say, power through and power on through to the end of this season. Hopefully, we'll be smiling with some European football at the end of it. But if you do enjoy this video, please go ahead and hit subscribe. We're just around the corner from 50,000 subscribers, which is massive. So thank you very much. But as I say, 10 games left to go. God, yeah. There's been a bit of pressure of late. Look, the Man City game was tough. I don't think anyone expected to really walk into that one. And I think generally this season, it's easy to forget that we were playing Champions League football, just 3-4 months ago. It wasn't that long ago at all. And there has been injuries, there has been fatigue. I don't think we did enough in the summer, although we couldn't with FFP and everything else. It's been a tough season. And now we really need to push on and get European football. It's for Eddie Howe. I think it's for Eddie Howe, making sure that he, I'm Eddie in brigade, I am Eddie stay. I think he deserves a summer window. He's done enough to get us, he got us Champions League football, It's fair to criticise some of the decisions of late. I think forcing Sean Longstaff to have foot injections to playing Dan Burn when he's clearly had some trouble. He's doing the best he can, but I think he deserves a summer window with as much money as we can give him, and I think he deserves a chance next season to go on and try and take that next step. But without European football for next season, it gets that whole much harder. You've got the likes of Bruno, who's already clearly wanted by a number of players. He's blooming getting chatted up by Pep Guardiola at the end of the Man City game. Now he's going to look around and go, fair enough, if we've got Europa League, right, I'll stick it out for Europa and then we'll try and get Champions. If he has a season without it, it's a lot easier to go, will we have it next season? What about the season after? How long will I not be in Europe? And it's not just him, there's a few players in there. And then you look at the opposite way. For us in the summer window, it's harder to attract players as well. So I think for Eddie Howe and his job, I think for keeping players, I think for buying players this summer, I think for the confidence of the current squad and for the fans, European football would be big. And I think it's a lesson, it's learning. I think we have struggled this season from the multi-games in a week. So fair enough, we could not have Europe next season. You could see it as a positive to not have it. Rebuild, re-strengthen, get everyone back fit, have a good hard season and then go for Champions League again. But I think we need to learn. And yes, Conference League isn't that exciting. Europa League isn't quite PSG at home on a Wednesday night under the lights. But it's a chance for the players to learn and grow. And I think we should be really going for it. I think it's going to be tough. West Ham is the next game following the international break. And they're a team well up there as well. I think if we can go ahead and beat West Ham in that next game, it sets us on the right track. And we will talk about that a little bit closer at the time. But, as I say, I've gone through a few transfers there. Nottingham Forest, 4-point deduction for overspending. Newcastle over here are trying to do collaborations with NFTs and all sorts just to try and get a little bit more money in. Meanwhile, teams are overspent. Tonali himself, I think Tonali himself's worth 4 points. If Tonali had played all of this season, you've got to hope that a couple of those games that ended in draws or didn't quite get over the line or had players missing, I think Tonali's worth 6, 7, 8, 9 points alone. Never mind buying a few more players. And look, we're not going to do it. We're not going to overspend because you just don't know what's going to happen. But the rules are a mess. I will actually say that for Nottingham Forest's sake, that if they'd sold Brandon Johnson, if they'd sold him a month earlier for way less money, they wouldn't have been penalised. So despite the fact that they held off, got a way better deal, way more sustainable for Nottingham Forest, way more beneficial for the club, they've had a reduction in points. And yes, they did break the rules, but is the idea of it not sustainability and looking after the football team? So they've actually been told off for taking their time and getting the right price. Yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on that one, and I am not going to cover it all in this video, but I do think European football, big summer window, it needs to be done. But before all of that can happen, we've got to make a trip first. That's right, Newcastle are heading to Oz. I'll be honest, when I first saw this, and it's not the first time I've looked at something is when we come on to the NFTs and gone, When I first saw that we're going to Australia, it was actually rumoured it was going to happen before the end of the season. And I definitely went, look, it's been met with a lot of excitement. There's a lot of people over in Australia, and I don't blame it from happening. Australia, America trip, Austria, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, like what's next? Asia probably, South America. Plenty of Newcastle fans have no doubt will be going off to Australia for a trip over there. Look, I've never been. I think it's a great opportunity to spread the brand, grow as a club. But after how many injuries and fatigue and issues we've had this season, you know what will make them feel? Well, maybe it will make them feel better. Head them off to a foreign country for a bit of fun. Make them play 2 more games at the end of the season. Okay, it is this game against Spurs, and it's a game against an superstar A-League side over in Australia. And look, if we finish the season in that final game against Brentford and secure European football and everyone's jumping up and down, the Spurs game's 3 days later. So if we're on a high off that, play 2 more games. The reason it's so quick after the end of the season is because of the Euros and everything else. It wouldn't be great if we went over there with an under-18 side because all of our players have gone to play international football. So they're kind of shoehorning it in. They're trying to get the opportunity to go over there. In fairness, it may well have been organised ages ago. And now it's just because we got knocked out of the FA Cup, we can actually go there a little bit earlier. Yeah, maybe I'm just being a misery. But I just thought, you know what? We've had so much trouble. Let's make it... Let's send them on a long-haul flight and get them to play more football. But having said that, and it will be the end of the season. They can go and rest after that if they're not on international duty. You let me know your thoughts on that one down below. And then, as I say, waking up this morning, it's a good job I waited a day so I can cover this as well. Newcastle have their newest commercial collaboration with Quid. Quid is an NFT website where you could go buy NFTs. If you're not big on what this is, and to be honest, I will say that when I first saw it, I did think, really? And I think I've now changed my view to, maybe I'm just not the demographic. The idea is you can go online and basically buy digital portraits, photos, pictures, drawings, and what Newcastle are selling is football cards. It's football cards. It's photos of Bruno Gordon. You can buy a Newcastle pack and you can get football. It's effectively the online version of trading cards. You could possibly... And they've got loads on there, by the way. It's not just Newcastle. It's Disney. It's Game of Thrones. It's all sorts. But the reason I was effectively quite taken back and shocked by it this morning is that these non-fungible tokens... You see, I'm not the demographic for it. I've not really delved into this myself. If you have and you love NFTs and you're buzzing for this, let me know down in the comments below because I'll be interested to hear your side. Or if you're not tell me down below as well. But they've had a bad rep, really. You know, the idea is that online people have been pushing these photos, digital currencies online, and people have been hit hard. People buying photos of a frog or whatever for hundreds and hundreds of pounds or even thousands of pounds, and then they're not worth anything anymore. And that was my initial shock and reaction. I'll be honest, it's changed a little bit. Having actually spent a little bit of time on the app this morning now, no way, shape or form am I telling you to go out and spend money on this, but it works both ways to a degree. What I think I was annoyed by is that Newcastle don't even have their own physical trading card game. They don't have a weekly magazine. You know, I appreciate that we want the sponsors and we want the money, but I worry that we can end up saying yes to everything and anything because we want the money. And to some degree, look, I'm not really going to bother with this. So if it makes Newcastle some extra money so we can buy a player, then maybe it's great. But I also feel slightly like, young Newcastle fans going to go out and accidentally start spending loads and loads of money on. But then you could potentially do that with trading cards. You could buy a minted Alan Shearer trading card, a physical trading card for $3,000. And then it's actually worth nothing because it's only ever worth what people are willing to pay for it. And if people aren't willing to pay more than what you paid, then you lose money. But that's not to say that you can't have a physical trading card game and buy them for a few quid and have a bit of fun with your mates and enjoy it. And if that's what you're doing, then NFTs or what has been set up on Quid seems to be pretty similar. You can go on, you can buy a Newcastle pack, you can get the cards. If you want to keep the cards, you can. If you want to sell them on the online market to other players, you can as well. So yeah, I think it's with a pinch of salt. I think if it's something that you're interested in, and that's what it does do, it makes it global. That's what this does that the physical cards doesn't do, is it can be global. It doesn't matter where you're in the world. Well, I don't know, does Quid download on every device everywhere in the world? I'm not sure. I presume it downloads in a lot of different countries than it would be if you had to go to the club shop to buy some actual paper cards. Remember when the Chronicle used to do those cards that everyone collected and used to do? Yeah, and that was probably the closest thing they had to a Newcastle trading card. I've got that framed somewhere. I say that point, and it's probably in my parents' loft somewhere. Maybe I should find it. There you go. We'll do that sometime. It's probably global, and that will push and spread the name of the club far wider than maybe a physical card game would. My worry is that someone gets their dad's phone and ends up buying blooming hundreds of pounds worth of digital pictures. You know, can I just do a screenshot and put it as my background? You know, do I need to spend money? If it's like 10p, 15p, and you're in charge of your own money and you're a consenting adult with that money, then you can do what you want with it. So yeah, there was a moment this morning where I saw it and was unhappy, actually. You know, I think a rare time where I've seen Newcastle announce something and go, really? You know, with all the bad press this kind of has had, we're now getting into it. You know, NFTs was massive a few years ago. A lot of people got very upset. There was a lot of poor reports on it. And, you know, who am I to say that if it's done right, then maybe it can be a bit of fun for people to get involved with. So, yeah, I would say my viewpoint's changed. Will I go and spend loads of money on it? No. Will I open my free starter pack or whatever the hell it was? Probably not. I'm probably not going to go on that website again. But yeah, you can let me know your thoughts on that down below. And I will quickly touch on the stadium as well, because I think the narrative has seemingly changed a little bit. You know, there was a lot of talk on Newcastle like going nowhere, there's no plans to move, we're staying where we are. And then a lot of reports have been of late, and you know, look, I've been moving house, I've been all over the shop. I've been keeping up to date with it, and it does interest me, because I think there is a definite mix of opinion on what is or what will or what people want to happen, and the talk has very much been moving stadium, but more recent reports coming out as of the last few days on, I think, to be honest, the lack of options. The sustainability study is close to finishing. They reckon the results could well be released on that this year, and I think that's when Newcastle will have to actually step forward and make a decision and tell the fans what they plan to do, because it's been a lot of cloak and dagger at the moment. I think the narrative out of the media has slowly changed from we're not going anywhere, we're staying where we are, to we might move. And everyone's going, has that changed now? A great article coming out from Mark Douglas has spoken about the short to medium term, and that Newcastle really are going to push to try and expand and stay where they are. Now, Newcastle are actually one of the teams that are a stadium for the Euros in 2028. I think who knows, things can change at any second, but the fan zone coming through, the revamp of the shop, they're making like a temporary shop at the minute so that they can build a fully develop the current one, and to regenerate, revigor the current stadium with, a big event coming up in 2028. I think there is no chance there'll be a new stadium for that. I think for me, the short, and I would say medium term, 4-5 years time, we're not talking lifetimes here, will be to really try and push what we can do right here, right now. And I think that would, for someone who has a season ticket, that's why it's different. If you don't have a season ticket and you're desperate for a new stadium to be able to get in there, because it's so tough to get tickets, then you let me know down below. But I think what a lot of people want to be ticked in their box is City Centre Stadium. I really just don't think it's going to happen if we decide to go over to outside of the city and build. Look at the training ground. The training ground. We could have immediately picked up the training ground and dropped it in Ponteland. That's where all the players live anyway. They didn't do that. They left it where it was. They've spent 10 to 15 million pounds trying to upgrade it. They haven't made a big, bold move there. They've been sensible. And I think that's where they will go with the stadium for the moment, as much as the fact that there isn't a lot of options of where they could go, and the options are Northumberland. And people won't want that. So I think the pursuit of an expanded St. James's would likely be certainly the answer for now. But you let me know your thoughts on that one down below. Quite a lot to get through. I have been away for a while, so there was plenty to talk about. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on the NFTs, the Australia trip. Are you going to go? The constant talk of moving and St. James's, the summer window. Should we just go for it? And can Newcastle get Europe this season? Alright guys, thanks for watching as always. Drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Just around the corner from 50,000 subscribers, so I really appreciate it if you do hit that button. It costs nothing. It's free. You just hit the button, and it means that you guys are notified of my upcoming videos. As I say, business end of the season, European football, summer transfers, it's all going to be kicking off, so be sure you don't miss out. Alright guys, thanks for watching as always. Drop a like, subscribe if you have enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.